Well, here we are again with one more episode for Yonkers Voice. This is the place where you come if you want to know what's going on in your city, around your city, meaning Yonkers, Mount Vernon, New Rochelle, the surrounding city. And today we had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Ernest Davis, the mayor, ex-mayor of Mount Vernon, and hopefully the next mayor of Mount Vernon.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. So thank you, sir. Thank you for sitting with us, and so we can chit chat.
Okay.
Now, as I told you before the filming, our interest is simple. We do not promote. We do not endorse any candidate. My goal is very simple. So simple that sometimes people don't believe me. My goal is put the content out there, and in an unedited format. People watch, they listen, they come to their own conclusions, and then they vote for whoever they think is the best person. I think it's fair, don't you?
It sounds fair.
Yeah. I interviewed you many times when you were a mayor, during your administration, and after your administration. And here we are again because I hear that you are running. Tell us a little bit about that.
I am running. I decided to run when I couldn't find anybody else who wanted to run that I felt could do the job. So what do you do when you see things running amok and you don't have anybody to stand up to challenge what is happening? And for the good of the city, I decided that I would throw my hat in the ring and try to be a voice of reason in a situation that I find untenable and unreasonable.
Mayor, it was a few years back, you were still the mayor. Mm-hmm. Then you lost the election. If you were to be elected now, what would you do different?
Well, every election is different. The dynamics. The first thing we have to do, of course, is get on the ballot. And assuming that we can do that, the next thing is to map out a strategy to rescue the city that has been damaged for the last almost 4 years. The first thing you got to do is just see where you are. When you do that, then you got to plot a plan to rescue the situation. Right now, we don't know. We know some of it. We know we have 50 lawsuits. We know we have unedited URA, IDA funds. We don't know where they are. We do know that the city has lost confidence in the leadership, and rightly so. We know that this administration cannot get along with the other facets of government, such as city council and the controller's office. We know that trash is still in the streets because of mismanagement or no management. We know that there $2.4 million have been spent on lawyers for what one could guess. And we know that the police department you can't have confidence in that department because of the leadership there. We know that the building department has been decimated. We know that there are no-show jobs all over the place. We know it's misuse of funds in the water department, IDA, URA, and the list goes on and on. We know that this mayor is trying to run the city through lies and Facebook and all that, and the city is suffering. And so what do you do when you find a situation that you worked so hard for that in a very short time has gone the way of oblivion almost?
Well, Facebook and social media in today's age is the way to go. And guess what? You are now on social media and Facebook.
Yeah, I had to join.
You had to join because that's where people are. But now you spoke about mismanagement, sir, and culpability is, the mayor is. But where is the culpability? if you were the mayor, let's not talk about elections for now.
Uh-huh.
Let's say you are elected.
Okay.
Let's say you are the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
Controller, it's refusing to pay the bills. Some people are saying that's not true. Well, sir, I was there in her office when I witnessed somebody bringing her a stack of bills, and she did not accept it. I heard her statement that the bills were not submitted, the codes were not in. Well, if she does not accept those bills, how does she know if those bills are quoted or not? So you as a mayor, how would you address that? Because allow me to finish. Once the controller is refusing to pay and leaving services that the people of Mount Vernon need, snow removal, garbage pickup, roads, infrastructure, if those things are not paid, it's not the administration at all that she's putting at risk. It's the people that you love. It's the people that you are looking to represent. So they might see that as a way of making your administration look bad, but in reality, they're using the people of Mount Vernon as a pawn to achieve that. So what would you do different, sir, to make sure that those bills are paid, that the people of Mount Vernon are not lacking the services that they so much require?
Well, the bigger question is why have we gotten to this stage? Why is it that the controller, the mayor, don't see the need to work together? It is not in the interest of the people, as you just said, to have this go on. The first thing, and I had a contentious controller. I mean, she ran against me 3 times, so I'm not oblivious to what is going on.
To what's going on.
Right. And despite that, we were able to sit down and work through our differences for the good of the people. But when you have at the leadership and you have the controller and you have the city council, all who could be viewed as either incompetent or contaminated by the media, their perception of the media, then that will be reflected some way. I mean, the controller and the mayor must see fit to understand that they're there to work for the people, not themselves. So basically, what I would do, and the same thing I've done over the years, is say, look, both of us are going to look bad if this doesn't happen. The streets got to be clean. Vendors have to be paid. What is your problem? And she will enunciate what the problem is. If it makes sense, then we sit down and we put in the modus operandi to deal with that problem. And I can't see why reasonable people can't make reasonable situation. But if I don't like you, and I will be, common sense will be replaced by antagonism. And so long before this happened, you have to see that it broke down long before it got to this. And this is just a result of a bad relationship. I got to figure out neither one of them is stupid, and the reasonableness have to prevail. And so I would have a quiet talk with her. But for instance, if you and I don't like each other, that's fine. But if it gets in the way of doing the people's business, that is not fine. It is not fine when you have now, as you see now, trash in the streets. But long before that, the mayor was trashing the controller. So the controller now, I'm not going to deal with you.
But it shouldn't be that way, sir.
It should not be
It should
that
not
way.
be that way. I understand I don't like you, you don't like me. Let's not go for a beer because we
Right.
don't like each other. But when you work for the people, when you are elected by the people to do good for the people, you must put those differences, personal differences aside.
You should do that, and I think all reasonable people understand that. But now it's gotten to the point, it seems, I don't know the intricacies of the situation, but it seems like personal vendettas start to move in, and personal relations. For instance, you can go back and you can see the Board of Estimate and Contract where allegedly the controller leaves. You can see the mayor and the president of the city council yelling at each other.
I see that.
So you've created a climate that will result in something that is no good for anybody, even themselves.
Well, I'll tell you the truth, the way I see it. I think that elected officials should be above certain things.
They should be,
Should
but
be.
often they are not.
Often they are not. And sometimes that's a reflection that they don't want to project. You know, yes, mayor, council president, they disagree in the middle of the floor with hundreds of people watching,
Yeah,
and they
that's-
engage. They should be a little bit above that. Look, let's be professional.
That should be a lot. And the voter has to understand that elections have consequences. And if you put all of those entities, the city council, the controller, and the mayor, you put all of them there, and they are challenged with their knowledge of running government, and they have no place to retreat except to their own devices, which is not good. So I've been this role. Like I say, I was with the controller when I came into office in '96. The controller was Maureen Walker. The first thing I understood is I had to control my budget. So I had a management service person that I trusted, and we kept that in-house because we knew that the controller was antagonistic. But ultimately, I think has to happen is that I believe that that position should be a commissioner of finance. And I think it's an antiquated system that we should really look at. And I think that I'll almost come to the conclusion that maybe politicians should have a test to see if they're emotionally fit for this job. Everybody that gets elected, that's the easy part. But managing a city, especially
It's a difference. That's a different
it's
story.
a whole different thing.
So, what would you do? Going back to the original question, what would you do
I would
if you
sit-
were the one sitting today
Yeah.
in the mayor's office, and the controller, Ms. Reynolds, was refusing to pay the bills that the city so desperately needs? It's not luxury. The trucks that are being running, they need to be fixed.
Right.
The snow on the roads need to be cleaned up.
Right.
Garbage needs to be picked up because now soon it's going to start to become a healthy issue.
Absolutely.
Okay, and those minimum things that need to be paid are not being paid. She claims that the bills are not there. Well, the bills have been delivered, and she has refused to accept them.
Uh-huh.
So if you refuse to accept a bill or stamp a bill when the bill comes in, how do you know if the bill came in, didn't come in, if they coded right, if they're not coded right? So it seems like there is a struggle. You as a mayor, for the benefit of your city that you lead, what would you do in regards to the control?
Well, it's more than just a control. As I said, it's the whole atmosphere that's been created that has resulted in whatever that we see. The first thing I would do is sit down with the controller and with the department head. For instance, when you send a bill, you prepare a bill, first thing I'm saying, what is it that that we're not doing that is not palatable, what do you think we should do?
But if the controller refuses to talk, sir?
Well, no, you asked me what I would do. I would approach her. I've had problems with the controller before. She can be contentious, but I also have talked to her in the street, and I'm saying that, look, what is your problem? And she will enunciate what the problems are, and then we put that in. We codify the problems that she has, and then the person at DPW, for instance, you send out a bill, you prepare that bill, and you take it, first, with me, I would want to see the bills because I want to make sure that you're ordering stuff that I want ordered or needs to be ordered, and you have to justify that. Once that's clear that, then I would take the bills, and then I would have them on my desk, and then I would submit those bills to the controller. Now, if there's a problem, and hopefully it wouldn't be because we have straightened all the procedures out, and that's what you do. You prepare the bills the way she says she has a problem with. You give it to the mayor's office. The mayor's office now has a liaison between the controller and the mayor's office. And I can't see if we did it that way, that would continue to be a problem.
Well, we need to move to another topic.
Mm-hmm.
I believe there is a procedure, and I think somebody is not following.
Somebody's not doing something.
Somebody's not following it.
Yeah.
Who it is, I don't know. But somebody's not following. Let's talk about a little bit about Memorial Field, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Memorial Field was a serious thing during your tenure.
It really wasn't.
It wasn't.
It was made to be.
It was explain that.
Explain. I'm an architect, so
yes,
none of these people are architects. And I have done this building, I've done the church across the street, I've done 3 churches, I've done apartment buildings. So you can't talk to me about architecture. Now, what has happened is that they have made this an issue. Lyndon Williams, Richard Thomas, and Andre Wallace. All right, now let's start with what happened. When I came into the office, and remember I'm an architect, and I understand the consequences of Memorial Field historically. So I'm not one who want to go in there and just tear history out of the pages. I met in-house. I did Clinton, and nobody mentions Clinton Young, but it started with Clinton Young, and we came in. We had weeds as tall as I am. We went and cleaned up all of that debris and weeds and all that stuff. The tennis center that was up on the hill had gone completely shot, and we had to tear it down. The tennis courts had weeds growing up in those. We had to clear that out. If you understand architecture, you understand building. For instance, we went to the tennis courts because it made sense, because Memorial Field would be the second part of the construction. So what we did is we matched the plan, the whole area, the tennis courts and Memorial Field. I brought in an architect who specialized in restoring historic monuments. We spent over $300,000 in paying the architect to prepare the construction documents. It's down there now. And so we were ready to go. At the same time, we knew we needed to do the tennis courts first, because you can't do the stadium because you're going to be running trucks through finished the product if I had done it that way. So we made sure that the tennis courts met minimum USTA standards. Now, the reason we did that is because we wanted to bring people like Serena Williams and all that kind of stuff to embrace these young folks who play tennis.
Okay.
All right. So we prepared the preliminary plans. The first place I went is to the city council. Everybody bought into that. Went to Astorino, went to Lyndon Williams, and Kapowitz was the president of the Board of Legislators. Everybody said, listen, this is your city. You got the approvals from everybody else. Fine, no problem. Just keep us informed.
Okay. Well, the reason I'm asking you all these questions is because if you do run, well, which you're saying you are pending the required signatures, those things will come up, sir.
So I'll explain it the same way.
Exactly. That way we take.
There was nothing untoward. There's no missing money. There's how could there be missing money?
Okay.
And so all of this, the press has got over. Lyndon Williams said there's an investigation. And if you go and you ask the people in the county if there's missing money, everything was done. I didn't personally. The recreation department was in charge of all of that, and I master plan. It was a brilliant effort. And all of a sudden, because of the politics, because if Ernie Davis finishes Memorial Field, he's going to win. We got to throw monkey wrenches. All you got to do is check, for instance, contaminated soil. Before he was in office, as contaminated soil. How the hell would you know that?
But there was some dumping.
No.
Are you telling us that there was no illegal dumping whatsoever?
No illegal dumping. There was dumping, and the reason, when you see those mounds, do you think all of that is earth?
No, I'm not sure.
No, but I'm telling you, it's not. That was a pile of rubble in the middle, a rock. And so I used a rock to put it in to create a ramp so I could have skateboard parks. I could have more tennis courts up at top. I've never seen anything so bastardly dramatized the way it was done. It's great, and all of it was policy. Check it out. Don't believe me. Check it out.
My point is asking the questions.
I'm answering them.
Exactly, you answer the questions because thousands of people are going to watch this.
Yeah.
And they be hearing this from the other part. Right. Now we want them to hear from your side.
Right.
You tell them what it was. So that's you are telling us that there was no contaminated dirt.
No,
there was no illegal dumping.
DEC came in and what makes it so out of the way is that Thomas went to every agency that he could find to investigate while we were doing it. So it would be impossible for us with DEC watching us, even if I wanted to do it. And why would I want to do that? Except the only thing I can think about is to accept illegal gratuities.
Well, that's alleged as well, that you accept.
Well, yeah, I'm in the mafia. I got babies all over the place. I'm on drugs. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is one more thing that they've done.
Those allegations that there were money under the table were made, and you know this. I know these, and tons of other people know this. So then that's the next subject we want to talk about. It is said that you sign off on loanings of millions of loans of millions of dollars with no payment until the year 2046. Is this true?
To whom?
Well, I have no idea. The records.
I don't either.
The records say there is millions of dollars missing. There were bad.
There are records to say that?
Yeah.
You mean there are allegations to say that?
Well, they say
there is no record.
From what I hear is records. I heard allegations. Now, I'm not saying they are true, sir. All I'm asking you is the question.
I hope not.
No. I'm giving you the benefit of answering to those questions. And those bad loans that were never repaid, recovered, and you sign on some that the repayment starts in the year 2046.
You'd have to be specific. First of all, the mayor cannot enter any agreement without the approval of the legislature.
That's in theory.
Well, how else?
Well, I cannot sell drugs either. I cannot kill people either.
No. I'm in public office. And I'm telling you that unlike what Thomas has done, you cannot legally do that without legislation. Any contract that the mayor, that keeps the mayor from being a runaway mayor. Legislation has to be passed, and it has to be before the mayor can put his signature on anything. So on the very face of it, that's the most ridiculous thing. And who would I do it to? That has to be public. Who did I do all of this to? For?
Okay, now moving a little step forward. During the memorial field construction, who did the city back then chose to do the reconstruction? Do you remember? Was any company?
It was not done. See, everything has to. When, for instance, when you do the rebuilding of which you have done, there has to be a bidding process. There has to be plans. There has to be. It has to be put out into the public. It has to be advertised. So what people are saying is playing on the ignorance of the public. You could not do it even if I wanted to do it.
And I have to tell you one thing. I've been doing this for a few years, and I've seen that a lot of things are done based on exactly that. The ignorance of the public.
Yeah.
Okay. And that I vouch for. This side says this side says that, because they know that the public will not check on it.
Yeah, but what you're doing is you're leaving a paper trail, and it has nothing to do with the public. But all of these allegations, if it had any scintilla of truth, it would be provable. They say Ernie Davis did this, did that. Oh yeah? Well, number one, when you are doing a public project over a certain period, over a certain amount of money, it has to be advertised, and it has to go to bidding. You got plans, you got specifications, and then once they approve, then you put it out to bid, and people come in and bid on them. And when they do that, the whole process is that's why it's laughable. Because, wait a minute, how did I do all of this? I mean,
Yep.
It makes no sense. Plus, I'm an architect, and
Yes.
we obviously do that all the time. I did grades. Well, that's not a public thing. But anytime you're dealing with the public's money, there are procedures, and nobody had all of these allegations. Nobody has been able to come, and because it's an open and shut case, you were doing this, you did this, you didn't have bids, you gave this.
I'm glad you said that, because as soon as I walk into your office today, one of the people that works for you said, "Oh, you're the guy who works with whatever."
With who?
He told me that I'm the guy who works with, I don't want to say the name. And I said, "Prove it."
Right.
And he
Because
works,
people will say,
and he works for you. I say, prove it. Making an allegation, prove it. I guess you are the victim of the same. There is a lot of allegations that cannot be proven, and then they sit on public's opinion. People don't check.
people think, I've had people say I've on ankle bracelet. I've been to China, I've been all over the place. I said, wait a minute, he went to all these places with ankle bracelets on? And so people,
before you leave.
I've had people say that they had a rat epidemic, when you tear down a building, the rats come. Oh, I saw him, he brought rats in from the Bronx.
Oh, boy.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Just before we get off the subject, and I'm touching this because it's a very touchy subject. Memorial Field is.
They made it that is.
Well, they made it, and once they made it, and now the people perceive it as is. Okay? And it needs to be addressed. At least questions need to be answered in order to avoid.
Oh, I'm going to answer. Just what I just told you is absolutely true. There's a paper trail. People have made pronouncement in the paper. Chapter and verse is going to be dealt with. But, it is so ridiculous that it defies explanation, except the three people that I've known, the main protagonists, antagonists, they have come out and it's public, said certain things in public. The interesting thing is this. Memorial Field was used as a track, but before that, Memorial Field was a dumping of ash, that whole area. Across the street, where they have the big shopping center, do you know that that's on almost 1,000 piles? You know why they got piles, built on piles? Because the earth cannot hold the weight of the buildings. So you got to drive piles down deep enough to get to the soil that can hold it. That whole area. Mm-hmm. So people are so ignorant, some people, that Memorial Field is never going to be pristine soil. It never was.
Yeah. Now, during the reconstruction of Memorial Field, when you were mayor, did Andrew Wallace had any part whatsoever in that reconstruction? Contract,
no.
Possible contract,
no.
A bid?
Absolutely no.
Absolutely no involvement whatsoever.
Not while I was in.
Not while you were. Now, guys, you heard it from Mayor Ernest Davis. A lot of the allegations that are going on, we asked him those questions and he gave you the answer. Now it's up to you to digest and decide if Mayor Ernest Davis is the man to lead Mount Vernon again. Now, Mayor, is there anything that I might have forgotten to ask you that you want to address and tell the people of Mount Vernon?
Well, I'd like to make a statement. At this time in my life, I had not wanted to take the leadership again. I've been the mayor of this city for 16 years. And there is no place you can look in this city and not find the Davis administration imprint on it. You can look at housing, you can look at the roundabout, you can look at Hartley Park, you can look at even humps in the street to control traffic. But all of those are things that we've done, and I'm very proud of those things. Have we missed some things? Of course we have. But I have a love of the people that causes me to come to you for your support to straighten out what everybody should know is dereliction of duty, incompetence, and even corruption. And I am saying that it's time to put a stop to this. This city has been judged based on the last 4 years in a very negative light. This city has turned out more people of worth, either nationally or internationally, to have it go down like this. We can do better, and we must do better. And so if I have to put myself out for the people, as I've always done, then that's what I'm going to do. So we need your support. We need your help. And the thing that I want to do to make sure this doesn't happen again, we want to bring in young folks, not too young, but young folks who understand the system of government. What we have been discussing is people who don't understand why they're there. They don't understand the rules and regulations that you have to follow if you are a government official. They don't understand any of that. It's about them, and it's never about them if you're working for the people of the city. It has to be, what did you do for the people of the city, this great city of Mount Vernon? And I want history to note that at this time in this place, we acknowledge our culpability, the voters and just ordinary citizens. We understand that we can do better. The thing that we have not done consistently enough is expectation. I expect the city is going to be clean. I expect the city is going to be safe, and I expect that the people who have been put in responsible position will act that way. And if they don't, you have the obligation, people, to take them out. Whether it's me, whether it's anybody, it's about you, the people. But you got to do what you need to do, and that is to exercise your right to vote. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Now, just with the last word, if you had the current mayor next to you, and you needed to tell him, look, Tom's...
I've told him.
What did you tell him, sir?
Let me tell you. When you got to understand my history with him. He was on my ticket. So was Clinton Young. And what I had planned to do is do 2 terms and go back to architecture. That's what I planned to do. I didn't plan to stay this long. I told Thomas, and I've known him since he was a kid, and I supported him as a young guy, you know, he's aggressive and all that. But he refused to learn. He wanted, for whatever reason, he became a problem right after we got elected. And so immediately, instead of learning something, he was the same way as out on Facebook and all that, telling lies and all that, anything that would garner attention. That's what he is, an attention magnet. And he has some of the attributes of Trump. He has a narcissistic malady in his personality that causes him to do certain things. For instance, went to Memorial Field at night and tore this man's business down. He had the police to help him. This African guy, great guy, and his wife, the African guy is a tennis instructor recognized by the USTA. We were lucky to get him. And the police, and we have pictures of, they're doing videos. That's going to cost us $27 million.
But that would be a whole different debate. But
no, it's not a debate. It's
no,
right
a conversation.
there.
But how long has that tennis court been there without paying a cent of rent to the city of Mount Vernon?
Never.
They pay rent until the last day?
Yeah.
Until the last day,
Let me explain something to you, because you don't have the information on this.
Yes, probably.
The deal was to build a tennis center, and we would do the exterior. We would do the plumbing, the electrical, and the skin of the building. Then we would turn it over to them, and they would finish the rest of it. What happened is we didn't live up to our part of the contract. We went to the city council, and the city council said, no, you don't have to pay rent until we meet our obligation.
So, but that could go for another 50 years, no?
Whatever. That's the contract. So don't drink that
I'm
Kool-Aid.
not drinking. I'm just
I'm
asking.
telling you, because I was the one that did it. Everybody's talking and they don't know. And he's telling people that they owe millions of dollars and it changes. He's a damn liar.
But why?
And these are good people, and we were lucky to get them. So what happened in the middle? Even let's say they owed money. What is the procedure if they owe money? To go and tear it down?
No,
I got
an
tenants.
eviction process.
I got tenants who owe me 8 months of rent. I can't just go in and say you owe me and put them out. I have to go through a procedure, even if what he's saying is true, which is not. You don't go in the midnight hour with the police, and this guy said, "Wait a minute, no, you got to go." And he took, before they surveyed the area to see what they had to do to damage, because the bubble was up, and there is a machine that keeps it up. So they go and they surveyed the area, and they came back and cut the power off. I mean, this is criminal. This boy is criminal. And he's running through the streets telling people lies. He's just like Trump. In fact, I call him a baby Trump, because you have taken away roughly 300 kids who play tennis from all over the county. I was invited to Rye. Now, you know how rich Rye is. I was invited to a reception where they gave awards for the kids who play tennis. You know who won all the awards?
Who?
Mount Vernon. So it's criminal what this boy is doing. And he's running around through the streets telling lies, and the media is eating up because they don't like Ernest Davis. I don't give a damn about that. But I say to you, you better learn what the truth is. This young man, and back to why didn't you sit down? I did. I sat him down and I said, look, first of all, anything I can do to help you, I will. And I said, there's some people who help elect you that you can't afford to have in your administration. And I named names. He was quiet, and this has been his pattern. He was quiet, and he, after every time we met, he put the dagger in my back. Dangerous boy. And he has, and you would think that once he was indicted and all that, he would just ease up. He's got worse. There's something mentally wrong with him. Mentally wrong.
Well,
I'm
you're an architect. I'm not a doctor. Are we going to give a
you don't have to be a psychiatrist to see what has been going. And you quoted, he owed you money. That's a lie. And that
I quoted that he owed you money?
No. He owed the tennis.
Oh, the tennis. Okay.
That's a damn lie. And even if that were true, you are the mayor of the city, and you want to encourage people. I got a lot of people, especially black people, oh, you don't play tennis. Ernest Davis plays tennis, so therefore. Clinton Young did the same thing. You know what happened to Clinton Young? He was, as soon as he won, he closed the tennis center.
Well, we have to end up this interview, sir.
Yep.
But
I could go on.
It was a pleasure, and the man can go on. It's true. He's not joking. It is true. But we have so much time, and perhaps we could do another sit-down.
Absolutely. I have nothing that I've done in this city that I'm ashamed of.
Good.
Or that I have understood. I've taken some certainly ways of but I've always let people know what I've done, and I am not a poor man. I don't have to steal other people's money. I do know the consequences of that, and I worked hard, and I didn't come here to do anything but to help the city, and it's aggravating sometimes when people say some of the things. Where's the money? It's where it should be. The only way, and this is for your education, the only way that you can have missing money is to be in some kind of scheme with a person who owes the money. There's no other way. It's not money that you pass out. Mm-hmm. Everything is contractual. And the contractual things are what you go by.
No.
Oh, you mentioned Andre Wallace. I will tell you this. Andre had nothing to do with Memorial Field, but he was the contractor for the 3rd Street Firehouse. I don't know if you got that confused, but he had nothing to do with Memorial Field. And he sued the city. I was long gone after that. He sued the city. Thomas refused to pay him, and the courts charged the city a certain percentage if he didn't pay the money, and Thomas didn't. He got a lawyer, and this is another thing you better look at.
Well, I'm going to have to cut you off, but I would like to come back, because it seems that you have tons of things that you need to talk about.
Yeah.
And maybe that's information that the people of Mount Vernon needs to hear before they make that decision of who they should elect. So guys, stay tuned for more. Yonkers Voice always on a job, giving you information that we feel that you, the people, need to know before you make that decision. An informed voter is an important voter. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Where are you from?
South Africa.
Are you?